Leapmotor is just one of several new electric car brands arriving in Australia this year, looking to make an impact in the local electric vehicle market. And this C10 is shaping up as one of the cars to keep your eye on. That's thanks to its sharp pricing and tie-ins with automotive conglomerate Stellantis. Here's why I think one of these should be on your shopping list this year. First of all, let's talk about design. Now, personally, I think although it does cut a little bit of an indiscriminate figure on the roads, in isolation, this is a smart looking car. Up front, you do get a set of high-set LED headlights in the bumper, and they are joined together with a full-width light bar. And then down the side, you do get a dark grey set of wheels. This is a design specification, so it is the top spec variant in the model grade. Then down the side, it is pretty run-of-the-mill, medium-sized SUV fare. You've got a set of black roof rails, which is nice to see from the design specification. Coming around to the rear, I think it sort of reminds of the Porsche Cayenne, in my opinion. You've got that sort of full-width LED light bar, which you can see it does have a little bit of a lighting animation within. That is pretty smart from this car and does sort of set it aside from regular traffic. But overall, I think the design of this medium-sized SUV, although it is a little bit bland, it doesn't look bad. Do you reckon I'm on the money? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this video, please give it a like on YouTube to show your support. The big deal with the Leapmotor C10 is the fact that it's a mid-sized SUV, similar in size to a Tesla Model Y, but it only costs what you'd pay for a small electric SUV. Right off the bat, that's impressive value. It leaves little doubt that instead of competing in the small electric SUV space or the medium-sized electric SUV market, Leapmotor is trying to bridge both segments in the best way. Big body, small price. The Tesla Model Y and a Kia EV5 are similarly sized SUVs, but start around $10,000 more expensive. To learn more about the Leapmotor C10's rivals or even browse examples for sale, be sure to check out Drive Marketplace. Both variants of the Leapmotor C10 kick off with pricing below the $50,000 mark. The entry-level style costs $45,888 before on-road costs, and it receives kits such as 18-inch alloy wheels, a huge 14.6-inch touchscreen with sat-nav, dual-zone climate control, 360-degree camera, 12-speaker sound system, and a panoramic glass roof. If you want your Leapmotor C10 to look a little fancier, the C10 Design variant costs $49,888 plus on-road costs, and it adds larger 20-inch wheels, silicon-based leather upholstery, heated and ventilated seats, a power-operated boot, and a colour ambient lighting system, as well as rear privacy glass. Only premium paint costs extra, $990 for all colours except white. The Leapmotor C10 is powered by a 160 kilowatt motor that sends drive to the rear wheels. Its 70 kilowatt hour battery is said to deliver 420 kilometres of WLTP tested driving range. I've only spent a little bit of time in the Leapmotor C10's cabin so far, but I already find myself kind of really appreciating this interior space. First of all, there is a ton of room in the front row. I've got good adjustability to get a nice driving position as well. My legs are absolutely floating about in the expansive footwell down here. And then there's also a really good amount of storage space as well. You've got quite a deep center console box down here, a pair of cup holders within the center console, a wireless smartphone charger, and then beneath that you've got a nice little tray to store larger items, plus 2 USB ports in addition to that wireless smartphone charger. You also do have a set of cup holders back here, but they are kind of reserved for the second row. Overall, the materials and finish quality of the panels and soft touch elements in this car is done to a really high standard. Now, this Leapmotor C10 design, the top specification does get a sort of higher grade silicon infused leatherette upholstery, and it is nice to the touch. This color is one of two that you do get the choice of. The other is a little bit of a brown shade. One thing I do want to point out on this Leapmotor C10 is the seat comfort. This is a really plush seat base, and I've got a really nice driving position, and I can see really well over the bonnet and out onto the road. I also do find that that huge panoramic sunroof, although it doesn't open, it does afford a huge amount of light inside the cabin, and I love the fact that you can close the blind with this shade here. You don't get that in all electric cars these days. Controlling the infotainment in the C10 is a 14-point 6-inch display for the infotainment, and then you also do get a 10.25-inch digital driver's cluster. Now the controls on this central display are pretty easy because you do have shortcuts along the bottom of the screen here. And although it doesn't come with wireless or even wired Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it does have apps within the system like your Spotify, and then it does have things like TuneIn Radio and even a website browser. This car, it does have Wi-Fi capability, which means that you can use apps on the go without a phone connection. Still on infotainment, there are a few things that do great when you are driving this car along. A lot of the infotainment controls are hard to get to when you are trying to adjust things like the driving settings and the safety parameters of the car. You do have to dive through a few menu systems, and although it is fairly easy to get to, it's just not the easiest thing, and I would prefer physical buttons for certain things like turning off the traction control. Not that I would actually do that, but you want those sort of things really handy to the driver. In the Leapmotor C10's cabin, I find that one thing I am really drawn to is the fact that every single panel inside this front row, it's rounded off. So there is no chance of you striking your knee and hurting it, or hitting something with your hand and then getting hurt. Is really quite nice in that regard. And it does feel like a soft, sort of calming space. The second row of this Leapmotor C10 is absolutely massive. Whether you're talking knee room, headroom, or even foot room, every single dimension has a ton of space. I've got a lot of room here. I'm 194 centimeters, so I'm not short. And the amount of space on offer is really impressive. Even when you're talking side to side as well, there's good space for someone beside me, and then on the other side as well. There is no transmission tunnel, which means you can sort of spread out as you please. And then in terms of amenity, you've got things like air vents, 2 USB ports, 1C and 1A, map pockets. Obviously, the cup holders that I mentioned earlier, they are for the use of the rear seat occupants. And then obviously there is a huge amount of light afforded by that panoramic sunroof again. Now, one thing it doesn't get is a sliding second row base, so you can't go forward and backwards to afford a little bit more room in the boot. However, it does get 2 steps of seat back recline, so you can lounge back a little bit further if you do need it. At the boot, you do get a power tailgate, which opens and paves way to a full 581 litre space. That is to the roof, by the way. Now, you can also expand that storage capacity by folding down the 60/40 folding rear row. And then there also is a little bit of a stowaway pocket down here for hiding that charging cable. Although you will find that this car, it doesn't have a space saver spare or a spare of any kind. It only has a tyre repair kit. One of the first things you'll find when driving the Leapmotor C10 is the fact that its driver assistance, monitoring software, and driver assist tech on the whole, it can be quite annoying when you are on the road, because we've had this thing beep and bong at us all day long, and it's not the best refined system that you do get in the market. I understand that brands do want to introduce this technology as part of a good safety rating, but you can see there, the thing constantly sort of beeps when you aren't in the lane in the perfect position. It'll often beep and alert you when you are looking away from the windscreen. And overall, when you do sneak above the speed limit, it does alert you to that fact and lets you know to stay underneath it. And that's annoying because sometimes it doesn't always get the speed limit right. We were driving on a 60km/h road before, and it indicated that the speed limit was 5 k's an hour. So that is kind of annoying, and there is a little bit more refinement to be done there. But all of that safety driver assistance software notwithstanding, this is a nice car to drive. I find overall the level of refinement offered from this Leapmotor C10 is really, really impressive. Now, I'm driving at about 100 km/h right now, and there is next to no cabin noise and there is next to no road noise intruding inside this interior. It is really subdued and quiet, so well done to the engineers in that regard. Leaning into that is ride comfort. Now, for the most part, driving this car, it is nice and supple. The car does absorb bumps really well. When you are on undulating country roads, that the suspension can't react quick enough to sort of sustained bumps, and it sort of tends to buck a little bit. That isn't the nicest sensation, but overall, when you are driving this car around town, it is subdued to a nice level and it is very comfortable. Now, talking about what's powering this Leapmotor C10, it does get a 160 kilowatt, there we go, some of that's driver assist technology again, indicating that I'm not in the middle of the lane, which I most certainly am. Anyway, 160 kilowatts does power the rear wheels, and it doesn't exactly feel rapid like you do get in something like a Tesla Model S Performance or a Tesla Model 3 or Y Performance for that matter. But overall, it does feel quite fast, and more than fast enough for what you need in a medium SUV anyway. On the flip side, the brake pedal of this car, it can be kind of annoying because when you do even just breathe on the brake pedal, it really just pulls up the car too fast of a fashion. I would much prefer it if it was just that little bit more progressive and not so grabby on the brakes. Electric cars are all about efficiency, and this car, against a claim of about 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, in our experience on this test drive today, we've been doing about 17 kilowatt hours per 100, which is quite impressive for a car of this size that is electric. So it does remain quite efficient, and we have seen, based on a charge level that was full, about 411 kilometers of overall driving range. The C10, it does feel like a weighty thing when you are threading it through a set of bends. It does stay flat and the body composure is pretty nice. However, you can sort of just get that sense that this is a heavy car when you are driving it in a spirited fashion. One of the most limiting things of this Leapmotor C10 I find is, well, in addition to the overzealous driving assistance technologies and their pings and bongs, it is the fact that it only charges at a maximum of 86 kilowatts on a DC fast charger. Now, Leapmotor has said that that is good enough to get this car from 30 to 80% in about 40 minutes, but when other cars are doing quicker times to get from 0 to 80%, when they are doing that quicker, this car sort of just falls behind in that comparison. There are a few driving modes that the driver can select. These are called up using the infotainment screen, and although I would prefer like a dial or a switch to change those driving modes, it is fairly easy to get to. There is Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Custom driving modes, and then you do get a one-pedal driving mode as well. However, the annoying thing with that is you can't change to it on the fly. You need to come to a complete stop, put the car in park, and then you can put the car in one-pedal driving mode. That is really annoying, and hopefully they do fix that in an over-the-air update in the future. With its Wi-Fi capability, this car is capable of receiving over-the-air updates, and Leapmotor Australia and Leapmotor International have committed to providing constant over-the-air updates for this car. In next month, it will get functionality like having TikTok inside the infotainment system. Now, don't worry, it won't be available while you're driving the car, but it just goes to show that the car maker can install updates on this car in a really quick fashion. So it is nice to see that capability on offer, especially if something goes wrong with the car. One of the most annoying things with this car is the driver attention monitor. It doesn't recognize that people can actually wear sunglasses. So when you are driving this car along and you decide to put on a pair of sunglasses, it will automatically alert you to that fact that it can't see your eyes and then directs you to take them off. So there's a little bit more work to do there. The Leapmotor C10 is just one electric vehicle vying for your attention in 2025. There are lots more coming. However, the sheer value for money offered by this car is really hard to ignore, especially when you do compare it to segment rivals like the Kia EV5 or even the Tesla Model Y. The level of space on offer inside that cabin is simply amazing, and the packaging is really impressive. Additionally, I didn't want for any extra feature inside that car. Buyers, they will have to contend with a little bit of a slow charging speed, 86 kilowatts. It isn't the fastest DC charge capability on offer in the market today. And there are also some sort of annoying driver assist features that they will have to reconcile with when they are going into the purchase of a Leapmotor C10. However, the level of value this car offers for the price is really impressive. Now, if you've liked this video or you've learned something interesting about Leapmotor or the C10, please give it a like on YouTube and stay subscribed to get all of our future content. You can also read a full review and read news about Leapmotor as a brand on Drive.com.au.